Hi, welcome to Speculation Sunday. I'm going to try to get you through the next week, and we're going to discuss what happened in the past week. So, hope you enjoy. One of the things I want to talk about is the necessity for rapid resource development, rapid resource accrual. This is becoming really important right now because we are launching into some pretty sort of uncharted territory. We got a cold civil war in the United States. It's ideological, it's soft at the moment, but it has every opportunity to turn into a full-fledged hot civil war. Probably won't happen until 2024, and that election cycle, which is going to be crazy. It's going to be really interesting to be a part of. But it's important to keep an eye on things, keep a constant temperature of what's going on in the world around us. Also, the global war that's already been kicking off between NATO and Russia, and China's starting to look at Taiwan, and North Korea's starting to look at South Korea, and we've got, all kinds of unrest in the Middle East. That really hasn't changed over the past however long it's been, but it's important to keep an eye on those type of things because they can turn into dramatic market moving events and quality of life events, even the possibility of running out of electricity, which is what I want to talk about next. We've got a lot of interesting new EMP devices, especially that are being developed by Russia. We know that Russia has the capability of hitting anywhere on the planet with their long-range missile systems. They're not as advanced as ours, which is why we're seeing so many Russian soldiers being just bombed into oblivion by NATO at the moment. But it's important to think about an EMP device or a nuclear strike or a solar flare penetrating the Earth's acceleratingly weakened magnetic field, which I don't think that's a word, but anyway, a solar flare could punch through the Earth's magnetic field at any time. Probably won't happen for a few years, but when that happens, the grid's going to go down. And if enough of the grid goes down, and depending on the extent of the damage, we could be without electricity for anywhere from several months to an indefinite amount of time. So it's important to have resources in place and have a contingency plan in place before that happens in order to just increase your chances of survival. All right, we also have a solar micronova, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. Probably won't get a lot of traction on these videos because I bring it up. I'm going to put a link in the description to someone who explains these things far better than I ever could, with all the scientific papers and all the sources and all the data that you need. He'll provide that. But basically, it's a 12,000 year cyclical outburst from the sun. It happened, around 12,000 years ago when the Younger Dryas ended. I don't know if anybody has heard of Randall Carlson or Graham Hancock, seen them on the Joe Rogan podcast. They like to think it's a meteor stream that we passed through that ended the Younger Dryas, but it turns out if you go back 24,000 years, there's an event. If you go back 36,000 years, there's an event. If you go back 48,000 years, there's an event. And we happen to be sitting on that 12,000 year time frame, and our magnetic field around the Earth has been weakening dramatically since the 90s and accelerating in its weakness. So not to get too far into that, but eventually this way of life we're currently enjoying right now, it's not going to happen anymore. So the more resources that we can accrue before that time, the better chance we have of obtaining the resources we need to survive that time afterwards. So this blog is going to be a lot, or this YouTube channel is going to be devoted a lot to helping people accrue resources as quickly as possible and follow my journey as I try to do the same in order to help give us a better chance of thriving in the next decade or two. So what else happened this week? Andrew Tate got arrested. I don't know if anybody's talking about this. I haven't heard anything about it. Apparently, he was arrested this week. I don't know, man. He's becoming increasingly difficult to cancel. The last time they canceled him, and they pulled everything off of everything, and like within a week his Airbnb got canceled at the same time that his YouTube and his Twitter and everything else got pulled off the market. So it's like, okay, there's obviously some kind of joint effort to silence him going on. And when the people who are pushing certain agendas want to silence other people who are speaking out against other agendas, I start to get really interested. And unfortunately, I can't go too deep into those details on this platform because you'll get banned, you'll get censored. So, I don't know. He had a recent UK interview tour as well, where he went on like Piers Morgan and a couple other really popular, actually almost mainstream shows. And he did a really good job. I think he did a really good job in being measured and moderate and kind of shifting public appearance. And I think that's his public appearance, shifting his public appearance. And I think that's the main reason why they came after him when they did. I think that they started to see the temperature shift on Andrew a little bit. They started to see that, well, maybe he's not going to be impulsive with his jokes and with everything he says anymore, and he's going to be a little bit more measured, and that makes him dangerous to them because it makes him less easy to hate, makes him less easy to attack. We saw the same kind of phenomenon with Trump. Trump would, say impulsive things, and it made it really easy for the other side to attack him and make people hate him. And I think Andrew's smarter than that, and he's learning how to engage with these people in a way that doesn't get him taken down, and that terrifies the people that don't want his message getting out there. So I think that's probably the main reason why he was arrested. I think they're starting to get a little bit worried about him, especially with all the steps he's taken, like I said before, to make himself uncancelable. Creating his own bank and creating multiple passports and having a verifiable army of $50 per month subscriptions on his website. They're getting scared, and he said it a lot of times. If they can't cancel you, they'll arrest you, and looks like he was right on that one. Some reasons that did not cause his arrest. I think we should talk about. One, pizza boxes. Really? Pizza boxes got him arrested? That's how they figured out he was in Romania? That's why we have passports, homie. They check your passport in order to track you, in order to figure out where you're going and where you're coming from. That's why we have passports. He uses his passport, they know he's in the country. He uses his credit card, they know he's in the country. They know what he's buying in the country. Pizza boxes didn't get him nicked, just so you know. Greta, a lot of people are saying he went up against Greta, and the globalists didn't like that, so they arrested him. Nah. They do want to protect their puppet, but I don't think they'd risk moving against someone just for arguing with her. I don't think that's enough. They got a PR team for her that they pay for that, to handle that. So it wasn't Greta either. And the third one might be a little bit bold to say, but this is Speculation Sunday. We are speculating here. I don't know what kind of charges are going to be filed or what's, going to come up in the evidence and everything, but sex trafficking, I don't think he was arrested for that. I think he's too smart. He's made too much money. He's too streetwise to risk all of the progress he's made through legal channels, all of the money that he's made through legal channels, by having some kind of side gig where he traffics in Romanian sex slaves from. I don't buy it. I think he does operate an OnlyFans channel where he tells women what to do, and he operates the site and all the promotions and everything like that, and he ends up taking a cut of what the women make on their OnlyFans channel, which there's a moral argument there, whether that's the right thing to do or not, but it's not illegal, at least here. I don't know, I'm not an expert on Romanian law, but I mean, it sounds an awful lot like pornography, basically. So I don't know. There's this lover boy thing that they bring up where, you promise a girl a certain life and then you trap her into working for you type of thing. I mean, that sounds like a really subjective law depending on how the judge deems to translate it, which doesn't really bode well for him actually, because it gives him, it's like the YouTube terms of service. They're made generally broad so that it gives them a lot of wiggle room to just ban people for whatever the hell they want, right? So I don't know. I'm leaning to the side of not guilty. I can't see him being that dumb. He's making, like, I think he had 200,000 subscriptions to his university, all paying $50 a month. So if you do the math on that, it comes out to like 800 million a month, or $80 million a month or something like that, through a legitimate source. The dude's a billionaire by making his money legitimately. Why would he risk it all? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't see him. I don't see him getting convicted unless some shenanigans ensue. Possible moves that he might make. He's already moving to Dubai, and since his conversion to Islam, that's going to be a pretty safe place for him to be, especially because they want to maintain their perception as a haven for wealthy internationalists. I think moving to Dubai is a good move. Patrick Bet-David, PBD, he also spoke about the necessity of gaining powerful allies if you're going up against the globalists. So I think he starts looking a lot more at things like the Daily Wire, Elon Musk, the Islamic Nation, perhaps even Russia, trying to find some kind of powerful umbrella that he can ally with in order to protect himself from being Julian Assange or Edward Snowden. So I think that'll be the trajectory he takes in the future, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how he reacts to this if he does get out, because you can take notes and you can follow his procedure if you ever want to become financially and financially free, free from cancellation, free from bankruptcy, free from all that kind of stuff. You can take a lot of notes from Andrew Tate. What we can learn from this, I'd say maintain a low profile, which I'm not doing right now, so I'm not taking my own advice. Strive for independence, we already talked about that, and plan for contingencies. You gotta look ahead, and you gotta suck up the crappy feeling that comes into your chest when you start thinking about things like World War III. But the longer that you ignore them, the worse it's going to be when they finally get here. I know tremendous amount of people don't want to talk about it. Tremendous people don't want to acknowledge that it's a possibility, but it's a possibility. So I mean, some credence would be, advisable. It'd be wise to at least have some sort of backup plan in case the worst happens. It's very, very stoic perception to take. All right, so the week ahead, I'm really interested in Wall Street coming back from their cocaine and prostitute riddled vacation. They've been away, so it's been a really low volume week or two in the markets, so it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the price action coming up, whether we have a little bounce, which I'm thinking we might, and then continue our downward trajectory, or whether we just start going down right away. That'd be really interesting and really good for me, because that's kind of how I'm positioned right now. Or if this is the end of the bear market, which I give that like 5%. I don't see us anywhere near the bottom yet. We've only just blown through all the 2020 stimulus that they infused into the market, and we're just getting back down. A lot of stocks are getting back down to their pre-COVID highs, and we didn't have this big interest rates pre-COVID. We didn't have this kind of inflation due to the 2020 stimulus stuff. So it's an entirely different economy, and I think we're going lower. So that'll be interesting to see how they address that when they come back. Let's see. Eyes on developments in Ukraine, Taiwan, North Korea, Iran. You gotta at least keep an ear open for that stuff. You don't have to spend 5 hours a day looking at it, but you gotta think, well, if this escalates, if something happens over here, how is that going to affect my ability to operate within my own life? Because it can. Those kind of gigantic events, they can absolutely affect your quality of life, the quality of life of your loved ones, and your future plans. So it's important to keep an eye on that stuff. And a longer term, kind of slower moving piece of note is going to be the housing industry. Because of the increases in mortgage rates, in interest rates, that type of stuff, they tend to kind of lag a bit behind the general economy, about 6 months or so. So it'd be interesting if we get some kind of continued capitulation in the markets, followed by a lag in the real estate markets, because that would be about the time that the Fed would be forced to pivot in order to avoid just a full-on massive depression. Forget recession, we're already in a recession. A depression. So they will be forced to pivot at some point, at least slightly. And at that point is a really, this isn't financial advice, I'm not an advisor, but that might be a really good time to buy the property you've been looking at, buy the land you've been looking at, invest in REITs, something like that. So it's just something I check in on once a week, and you have to know your local market too. The big macro market's important, but the local real estate markets are so different compared to whether you live in Mobile, Alabama, or Los Angeles, California, or Western Montana, somewhere like that. It's very different markets. It's very different inflows and outflows of cash. So it's just something to think about. There might be a really good buy opportunity coming in. So, yeah, I guess in conclusion, clobber the week. Stay positive, even though most of what I brought up is negative. It's, you can still have a positive outlook going forward, even though things aren't going all that well around you. Strive for freedom and flexibility in all areas of your life, not just financial, not just physical. And stay flexible. See you later.